Hi, we're at the 2018 Britt Orchestra season, and we're actually with Christopher Cerrone, one of our James Collier Orchestral Fellows. He is the Conducting Composition Fellow, which we're doing now for the second year, and we're actually playing one of Chris Cerrone's pieces this season, and you will be conducting the Egmont Overture by Beethoven. Is that right?
This is right.
This is all correct. Good. So we're just here getting to know you a little bit and introducing you to our audience. So if you'd like to share what instruments you may play and what you're doing here at the Britt Orchestra Fellowship Program, that would be great.
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Chris Cerrone. I'm a composer. I live in Brooklyn, and I am here at the behest of the festival as both a composing and a conducting fellow, which is a first for me. I've conducted very little. I've actually mostly composed, but Teddy Abrams offered me the chance to do this, and I thought it'd be a really great way to sort of expand my knowledge of the orchestra.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, the orchestra will be playing a piece of mine called Will There Be Singing, which is a piece I wrote last year for the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, and this will be the second performance of the piece.
And which day are we performing that piece?
I think it's on August 2nd. I'm also conducting on August 2nd.
Yes, okay. And so Gabriel Kahane is here this week, and we're actually performing one of his new orchestral pieces called Emergency Shelter Intake Form. Is that one of the pieces that you're also performing? And I know you're doing some computer work.
No,
or
I'm
something.
performing in Mason Bates's
Okay.
piece.
Very good.
Which I'll be performing the electronics part of his piece.
Very cool. And so you actually know Gabriel Kahane?
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he lives, well, like maybe a 10-minute walk from me in Brooklyn.
That's the same neighborhood. Yeah.
And we've known each other for 5 or 6 years now, but yeah.
Very cool. And so where did you go to school? Who did you study with?
I went to school at the Manhattan School of Music in New York, and then at Yale for my graduate work, where I studied with David Lang, Christopher Cerrone, and Martin Bresnik primarily, and my other undergrad teacher was Nils Vigeland, and all were sort of wonderful mentors to me, and sort of each one had a kind of different way of teaching me something. You know, Chris is an amazing orchestrator, and so I really learned how to write from the orchestra from him, and Martin is sort of an amazing formal thinker. David Lang had me think a lot about space and sort of, you know, even in my piece there is the violins are set antiphonally and they're sort of in a dialogue with one another, so they're across, which is not the way orchestras are usually seated, and they're sort of designed to sort of emphasize the spatial nature of things. So that's something I talked a lot about David when I studied with him.
Very cool. So what do you hope that this fellowship will help you do with your career? I know one of them is just more experience conducting and maybe conducting a piece outside of your own work. Mm-hmm. But what do you have coming up for you as a composer?
Sure. I think what I'd like to do with this is simply, I think that, you know, my background is primarily in chamber music and in opera, and my career sort of shifted into doing more orchestral works this year. I did last year with this piece for Laco, and then I just had a violin concerto premiere in Detroit, and sort of becoming familiar with the orchestra as if it were sort of secondary and second nature to me, I think is one of the big things I want to do here, is just to like become incredibly familiar with the orchestral process, because as audiences may or may not be aware, one of the hardest things about writing for orchestra is to write something that can be put together in the amount of time the orchestras have to put a piece together. So if you have to write a piece that can be done in 2 or 3 rehearsals, mm-hmm. and if it doesn't happen, then it just doesn't happen. So I think to become familiar with the working process of the orchestra on a more local level is a big goal. And as for upcoming things, right now I'm working on a piece for the LA Phil that's going to premiere in November, which also has electronics in it. So I will be performing the part for Mason before I perform the part for myself in November.
Okay.
And then next year I will have a new piece for Britt, which is a percussion quartet concerto. So the 4 percussionists of Third Coast Percussion, who I think already came to Britt.
Yes, they did.
And I'll be writing them a brand new concerto.
We're so excited about that.
Yeah.
And also we want you to talk about, so one of the cool things that we got to be a part of this year was when Teddy Abrams went down to the LA Phil to have his conducting debut there.
Which I saw.
With Andrew Norman's new piece,
mm-hmm.
A Trip to the Moon, and Yuval Sharon was the director of that. And I know you did something with Industry Opera a few years ago, is that
Yeah,
right?
I did an opera called Invisible Cities, and that was about 4 years ago in LA.
Can you talk about that?
Sure, I can. It's actually funny because Andrew is also one of my closest friends. We went to school together as well. So I was happy to see that collaboration, and I spoke
amazing.
with you all this morning.
Oh my gosh. Of course.
But yeah, that was my opera was staged in Union Station in an experimental production where the audience was in headphones, and were able to wander around the space freely while they heard the score that I wrote.
Wow.
Yeah, and there is now a DVD of it available, and some of it's online, and there's an album of it, so it's a very well documented performance, and we hope to actually have another live performance of it at some point.
Maybe here at Britt. Who
Yeah.
knows? Well, thank you so much for speaking with
My
us.
pleasure.
We're really excited to see you conducting the orchestra.
Yeah, it's exciting and
to
terrifying.
hear your piece. yeah, see you and your conducting style and what maybe has rubbed off from Teddy. So
Yeah.
we're really
Well, he's
excited
great.
about that. And thank you so much for being here and speaking
My
with
pleasure.
us.
Really excited.